purposes of talking about how the tax cuts for those at the top and the benefit cuts for those at the bottom have a severe impact on people. And it's really gotten to the point where I think everybody in Congress on both sides of the aisle understand that this current model of trickle-down economics on steroids is unsustainable, and it will hurt people. It'll hurt people in every district, in all 435 congressional districts in this country, all 50 states, and so so we're reaching a critical juncture in American history because we've been doing trickle-down economics. So in other words, tax cuts for the rich and the free market system taking care of everything else. We've been doing that for decades, and we have been giving the tax cuts and financing wars, contributing to the nation's debt, which is now at, I believe it's $37 trillion. And this budget reconciliation proposal will add another $5 trillion to the debt over the next 10 years, while giving a tax cut of about $4 trillion to 70% of which will go to the top 5%, I believe it is. The top 5% will get 70% of this new tax, but at the same time you are talking about decreasing spending on critical services like Medicaid and Head Start and eventually Medicare and Social Security will be implicated as well. And so all of these austerity cuts coming at a time when it's costing more to live in America with the tariff program adding cost to consumers, and so it's just we've reached a critical point. Next week, the Ways and Means Committee will mark up the tax portion of this budget reconciliation package, and now you've got President Trump, who actually his advisors realize that by extending the tax cuts from Trump tax cuts 2017, plus adding in no taxes on tips and no taxes on overtime. The numbers just don't add up, and so now he has suggested, I think yesterday, that there'll be a tax increase on those at the very top, those making $2.5 million or more per year, instead of paying 37%, something like that. Now it'll go up to 39%. And so he has broached that idea on people in the House of Representatives, but most of them have signed on to the Grover Norquist no new tax pledge. I mean, they've sworn to that. They have signed on to the pledge, and they really believe in that. So meanwhile, you've got Republicans from blue districts, or districts that voted for Kamala Harris, and they represent those districts, and those districts are in states that have high property taxes, and so they want more. They want to increase the state and local property tax limit. They want to increase it. I think it's like $10,000 now, but that doesn't get it for state and local tax deductions. What is the SALT? I'm not getting it right, but you all know what I'm talking about. But those representatives want to see an increase. They want to see it go up to maybe $150,000, so that you can write off those state and local taxes on your income taxes. And of course, then on the other side, you've got folks who don't want to pass any budget that contributes to the debt or the deficit, and they want this tax package, this reconciliation bill, to be revenue neutral. And so you have all of these forces coming together, and next week is kind of D-Day unless it gets put off, unless they decide that we're too far apart, so we won't even go to committee with it. So that's kind of where we are now. But worst case scenario, if the plans that have been announced pass, we are here to discuss what impact that will have on the people. And so I appreciate you all for coming today and lending your time to this discussion. And so I'll, at this point, just throw it open for anyone to talk about who you are. Well, first, if you would identify yourself and what organization you represent, and how these cuts would impact your service delivery.
Be happy to kick that off. Good morning, and thank you for bringing us all together, Congressman. I'm Matt Pieper. I'm the CEO of Open Hand Atlanta, and we produce, cook, package up 5,000 medically tailored meals each day for individuals in Metro Atlanta who are dealing with cancer or renal failure or heart disease or diabetes and many other chronic health conditions. So truly medically tailored meals. And most of our clients live below the poverty level. Our service is a very tailored service. It's food with very few preservatives, very few canned goods. Everything we do is done through the food is medicine lens. And we are contributing to the economic stability of our healthcare system by keeping people out of hospitals, keeping them from being readmitted, keeping them out of institutionalized care that oftentimes can be very costly to taxpayers. And my message, as I think about the fear I have around the impact of cuts, it's really about undermining the safety net that's in this country and in this state for those who are most vulnerable. And the misconception that the rhetoric out there is perpetrating, that not-for-profits somehow are not efficient and somehow are contributing to fraud and abuse, when in fact not-for-profits are a critical part of the safety net, and that we contribute to the economic stability of our state by serving the sickest of the sick and the poorest of the poor with fewer resources. And I can speak, I think, for the food sector that we are seeing unprecedented, we're in a time when we're seeing unprecedented levels of food insecurity. 1 in 9 children in the Metro Atlanta area and beyond will go to bed hungry tonight. Food bank lines are longer than they've ever been. Right? And when we don't invest in our people, and especially our young people, right, we are crippling our healthcare system. And so I want to voice that, and I am voicing that concern loudly. Right? this is a really difficult time for the food sector, and for our community.
Is the cost of food going up also?
You know, thank you for bringing that up. Yes, and we've been dealing with inflation. So, first of all, the kind of food that Open Hand prepares is healthier food, and healthier food typically costs a little bit more, right? Well, since over the last year, we're paying 40% more. Our food bill is 40% more over the last year than it has been, which is very hard to sustain, right? Even since November, we've seen additional increases. We're paying more for chicken, beef, and seafood, which are staples of our diet, right? If the level of inflation just remains at this point, we'll see an extra $100,000 to our operating budget that we weren't anticipating. So that's hard for an organization to sustain. Whether that's tariffs, I can't say definitively that the tariffs have caused that increase, because we've been dealing with this inflation pressure again for over a year. But if you put tariffs on top of that, am I concerned? I'm very concerned. Thank you for shining the spotlight on that.